Business Value podcast. This podcast is brought to you by Mastery Partners, where our mission is to equip business owners to maximize business value so they can transition their business on their terms. Our mission was born from the lessons we've learned from over 100 business transactions, which fuels our desire to share our experiences and wisdom so you can succeed. Now here's your host, CEO of Mastery Partners, Tom Bronson.
Hi, and welcome to Maximize Business Value, a podcast for business leaders who are passionate about building long-term sustainable value in their businesses. My name's Dave Casey, and I'm a partner at Mastery Partners. Now, this podcast is part of our series with speakers at the Business Transition Summit. You might just recognize me because I recorded a session not too long ago for the summit regarding my upcoming session on key performance indicators. Now, the Business Transition Summit is taking place on May 2nd here in Irving, Texas, and is specifically for business owners to learn how to maximize the value of their business and begin preparing for an excellent transition. Registration is open now at businesstransitionssummit.com. There's two S's in the middle there, so make sure you do that. So in this episode, I'd like to welcome our guest, Tom Bronson, Principal at Mastery Partners. You might be wondering why I'm sitting in the host chair today instead of him. Well, I'll be interviewing Tom about his upcoming afternoon keynote session at the Business Transition Summit on the topic of, surprisingly, maximizing business value. So welcome, Mr. Tom Bronson.
Thank you. So this is, I guess, the second time you've hosted me on my own podcast, I think.
Yeah, that's got to feel really uncomfortable for you.
Actually, I love it. I'm actually thinking of naming you our permanent guest host. You'll be the Jay Leno to my Johnny Carson house.
Oh, well, I'm glad you didn't say Joan Rivers.
Oh, Joan. Perfect. I have not thought about you as Joan Rivers, but now it's in that I will never forget.
So tell us a little bit about Mastery Partners.
Sure. Mastery Partners was formed 5 years ago as a consulting practice to really help business owners think about and design their ideal exit strategy. You know, it's based on the premise that, number one, only 17% of attempted transactions make it to the closing table, which is a horrible statistic. And I've done 100 transactions myself as buyer or seller, and I've closed 100% of them. And so that's the first premise. But the second premise is that every business on the planet will eventually transition.
Yep.
And it's my humble opinion that it's better to do it by design than by default. Default meaning, something happens, illness, death.
Like you say, go out feet first, right?
Yeah, feet first, right? And so then that, by the way, just kicks the can down the road. That business is still going to transition. And so we really enjoy working with business owners and helping them start thinking about and dreaming about that future ideal exit, and then putting a plan in place to get them from where they are today to where they want to be. And that's what we do at Mastery Partners.
Wow. It sounds so simple, but I suspect it's not.
We've put together some processes to make it a sort of a step-by-step process. But, here's the interesting thing. It is the design of the strategy is different for every business. And our process that we use, we have a proprietary process that we use. It's our own intellectual property that we developed. And as you know, because you are one of our partners at Mastery Partners, it is unique for every client. Because
definitely.
Every business is unique. Yeah. And I love that about what we do.
Cool. So you're speaking at this session, Maximize Business Value. So tell us a little about what happens in the session.
So really, it's going to be, the top 10 excerpts maybe from the book, the Maximize Business Value Playbook. My first book, Maximize Business Value, began with the exit in mind. And then the follow-up book that came out earlier this year is 65 specific things business owners can do to increase the value of your business. And what we're going to focus on in this session I'm going to pick the top, 6, 8, 10 items out of this book, which, by the way, if you have a copy of the book, you'll be able to guess which they are because they're the ones with the dollar signs on them. These are the money chapters, right? And we're going to.
So if you're just scanning the book, those are the ones that hit.
Exactly. Yeah. The book is designed to be a workbook. You can go from back to front to back, start in the middle, it doesn't matter, but definitely hit the money chapter. So we're going to really focus on the most important things that are going to have the biggest impact on value for the business, so that business owners that attend this event, they're going to go home with, okay, here are 5, 6, 8 things that I can do tomorrow to improve the value of my business. And that's really what we want to focus on.
That's excellent. So I've got to ask you, why are you so passionate about this topic?
Because I've lived this for so long, right? I never really thought that I would be a consultant to help folks. And I don't think of myself that way. Most of our clients call me their coach. I'm so passionate about business owners. I came from a line of business owners. My father owned a business, and my whole family are entrepreneurial, and my wife is entrepreneurial. But there's something, a passion for me about helping entrepreneurs, because it's hard. It's hard to be in business.
It's a tough road.
And by the way, there are not that many of us, right? I mean, there's only, if you count businesses that employ people, there's only 6 million of us in the country. Of business owners, and 6 million out of 360 million people. That's a very small slice.
Yeah, it is now, small slice.
Yeah. If you count entrepreneurs that are basically solopreneurs, then there's only 30 million, and still a very small number of
relative terms. You're right. Yeah.
And
so you alluded to this a little bit earlier, but what qualifies you as a speaker on this topic?
Well, I've owned 100 businesses in my career. I've done 100 transactions, and I have made.
That's a large number.
Yeah, I have made in my opinion, I'm sure that there are going to be mistakes that I stumble into in the future, but I feel like I've made every possible mistake when it comes to executing in my businesses and preparing them for transition. And so I am uniquely qualified, because when I say, hey, you ought to do this, it's because I was doing the wrong thing.
Yeah. You might be able to actually back that up. Here's a reason why you ought to do this.
Yes, exactly.
Or not do that.
Exactly. So I'm passionate about that, and I've lived this. One of the things I hear frequently from our clients, and same for you, because here you are helping folks doing the same thing that I do day in and day out. They really appreciate the fact that we've been in their shoes.
Yeah.
We're not academics. We didn't just study this and we're applying theory.
Yeah, this is not abstract.
We've lived all of this. Yeah, we've lived all of this. So.
Yeah, with the consequences.
For sure.
So this Business Transition Summit, there are 16 concurrent sessions. And other than my session on key performance indicators, why would somebody want to attend your session?
Well, here's the good news. Everybody gets to attend my session because I'm doing one of the keynotes. So
good to be king. My God.
It's good to be the king. There are 3 keynotes, and we've not put them in the order of importance, but we put the best one in the middle. That's of course going to be Dave and John.
Yeah, I'm excited to hear it now.
Yes, very much so. And I'm also excited to hear Ali Nasser, who wrote The Owner's Dilemma. He's going to be amazing. He's the morning keynote. And so what they did is they just saved the worst for last. But I'll be giving my keynote right before, in fact, one of what I think is going to be maybe one of the highlights of the day, and that is the Tales from the 17% Club. Right after my keynote, I'm going to host a panel of business owners who have actually transitioned their business, and we're going to talk about the good, the bad, and the ugly.
Wow.
And so
that's invaluable.
Yeah, walk straight from my keynote into that. So I'm pretty excited about that.
So your job is to get people out of the food coma after lunch and ready for that 17% club. And that's incredible. That's super.
Exactly. And then
So
right after the 17% club, it's a pretty exciting deal. We go straight into the afternoon reception, which is, I mean, heavy hors d'oeuvres, open bar, and lots of opportunity for business owners to network and mingle and talk with some of the speakers of the day. But more importantly, get to know one another, because there's nothing like business owners who can just kind of they find their compatriots. They find they
yeah. I think that's a mark of a good session or a good seminar is the deal that the people that are there attending are the keys, and it's great to hear all the speakers, and like reading a book. If there's 16 sessions, you may have 4 or 5 that are just spot on what you need to hear at that moment in time. But that interaction with your peers, I think, is top notch. That's really where a lot of the value is derived.
Yeah, it's really going to be an exciting day.
One last question for you. So this podcast is all about maximizing business value. I mean, it's pretty hard to not know that that's what it's about. So what's the one most important thing that you recommend business owners do to build value in their business?
I've answered this question before on the podcast, but I think I'm going to probably give a little bit of a different answer. And it may be because I heard a speaker last night, and you know about this, Deb Pervin, was just an amazing entrepreneur. And so I think maybe the most important thing business owners should do that many of them don't is really understand the financials, in your business, because, and that's one thing, by the way, that has 57 parts. There are so many clues that it gives you about the health of your business, the things that need to change, and the things that you need to perhaps do differently, or the things that you're doing right. It's really getting in to understand your financials. And it's almost alarming to me. Many of our clients, when we first engage with them, the financials is something that they look at, once a year at tax time, or once a quarter, or whatever. But the financials are, it's a history book. It tells you the story of it.
And I liken it to when you go to the doctor will ask you how you doing, how you feeling, any aches and pains, whatever. They examine you, they do the top to bottom exam, okay, and they look at things. But the truth doesn't really come out until you get a blood test,
right?
And they run all those panels against your blood, and that tells you what's really going on inside your body. And I liken that to the financials, because a company can appear to be working great, and everybody's happy, and the sales are up, and customer satisfaction's up, everything's up. Till you look at the financials, you don't really know the health of that company.
That's it. And there's so many pieces to understanding the financials. But here's the beauty. Our clients, when they first engage with us, many of them, by the way, this is just an issue with most small businesses. They don't look at the financials because they don't like them. They don't understand them. They're
scared. I mean, if you're not a finance person, if you're a salesperson, if you're an engineer, if you're a creative artist kind of person, financials are the last thing on your list. I mean, you're intimidated by the fact you're a business owner, but you don't really understand that part of your business.
Yeah.
But
after working with us, a year, down the road, they look forward to that financial review, right? Because it just tells them so much. Yeah. And they do that on a monthly, month in, month out. So if I had to give the biggest piece of advice to a business owner, get intimate with your financials and really understand them.
You don't have to understand how to do them, but you have to understand how to interpret them, I think.
Exactly. Exactly.
Yeah, that's super advice. So here's a bonus question for you. What advice would you give your 18-year-old Tom Bronson self? I can only imagine what you were like at 18. So
yeah. So here's I come at this now, the 59-year-old Tom Bronson, talking about the 18-year-old. I know that the 18-year-old Tom Bronson is not paying any attention, so I can just tell him anything. And so, but I would say, learn patience faster.
Yeah.
Learn to be patient and smile more. And I think patience goes a long way towards something that they hadn't even invented, I don't think, when I was 18-year-old. And that is learn emotional intelligence.
Yeah.
Learn how to be emotionally intelligent and control your emotions, and you will go much further. But I know that my 18-year-old self wouldn't pay any attention to that.
No.
And
Well, your hormone
and he
balance is a
wouldn't
little
learn
different.
that for probably 20 more years.
Well, super. Well, I almost don't have to ask this, but I will. But how do our viewers and listeners get in touch with Tom Bronson?
Well, so right where you get this podcast, just click comment and you can get in touch with me there. But also at masterypartners.com, there's a button there that you can schedule a call with me.
Wow.
And
Direct interaction. I like that.
Go do that. And my cell phone is right on the website. So I'm not going to read it here because nobody will be able to write it down. But you go to my website, you'll get my cell phone. Call me.
Oh, my gosh. That's almost too much access. Well, Tom, thank you so much for being our guest today. I look forward to hosting you in the future too, because this is more revealing than a lot of the other podcasts that you do. So I really like that.
Awesome. Well, I really appreciate you doing this. This has been a lot of fun.
Cool. So this is the Maximize Business Value podcast, where we give practical advice to business owners on how to build real sustainable value in their business and eventually think about a transition. Make sure you tune in each week because we have, a plethora of information similar to what we did today. Subscribe to the channel so that you don't miss a single episode. And so until next time, I'm Dave Casey, reminding you to register for the Business Transitions Summit at businesstransitionssummit.com. And so you too can maximize your business value.
It's a mouthful, isn't it?
It is. I mean, there's too many S's in it. So.
That's right. Business Transitions Summit.
Summit. Yes.
Thanks
again. That was fun.
Thank you for tuning into the Maximize Business Value podcast with Tom Bronson. This podcast is brought to you by Mastery Partners, where our mission is to equip business owners to maximize business value so they can transition on their terms. Learn more on how to build long-term sustainable business value and get free value-building tools by visiting our website, www.masterypartners.com. That's master with a Y, masterypartners.com. Check it out.
That was perfect. I wouldn't make any changes on that.